guys, it's Crystal from Living Well with Crystal, and today I want to talk with you about some common mistakes that people who have been diagnosed with gastroparesis tend to make. And I guess when I say mistakes, what I really mean are things that get in the way of adequate symptom management, improved quality of life, and most of all, living well with gastroparesis. For those of you who might not be familiar with me, I am a certified health counselor. I am the author of Living Well with Gastroparesis and Eating for Gastroparesis. I have worked with hundreds of other people with gastroparesis in group programs, one-on-one, to help them learn to live well with gastroparesis. I also was diagnosed with idiopathic gastroparesis myself in 2004. So I have the personal experience of the trials and tribulations and ups and downs and figuring things out personally as well. And so through all of this personal and professional experience throughout the last 8 years, I have seen a number of things that keep coming up, thoughts, behaviors, choices, practices, that seem to really get in the way of adequate symptom management and especially getting to that point where you can say that you are living well with gastroparesis. So this is actually going to be a video series because there are more than I can talk about in this one video. But today I want to talk about two topics in particular. So the first thing I want to talk about is something that I think is extremely common. I think it's kind of perpetuated sometimes by our doctors, and that is focusing solely or mostly on dietary modification for the management of gastroparesis symptoms. So many of us, I would venture to guess most of us, when we were first diagnosed, if we were given any information at all, it was to eat smaller meals, low fat, low fiber. So it was all about what we were eating. We may have also been given a script for Reglan or erythromycin, some kind of medication to help with symptoms. But typically those are the two things that are discussed, with a lot of the emphasis being placed on dietary modifications. And if those very simple dietary modifications, smaller meals, low fat, low fiber, are not, quote, successful, your doctor may then say, go on an all liquid diet, go on an all pureed diet. And so it's really all about what you're eating as the tools for managing your symptoms. For the vast majority of people, dietary modification alone is not going to provide adequate symptom relief. If you have a very mild case of gastroparesis, then that's a different story than cutting out high-fat foods and high-fiber foods and raw fruits and veggies may indeed alleviate your symptoms to the point where you can live normally and you feel good on a day-to-day basis. But for people who have a little bit more of a significant delay, for people who are more symptomatic, just addressing the dietary piece of it, even in combination with the medication, is usually not going to bring about the desired relief. And this can be really, really frustrating for people. And this actually ties into the second thing that I want to talk about today, because it seems like, if you change your diet and nothing changes, you think, well, this is just what it is and this is what I have to live with. But actually, the very best way to manage gastroparesis, and if you've been with me for any length of time on Facebook, or if you've read my book or my blog, is a comprehensive gastroparesis management plan. And this is really what ended up kind of shifting things for me personally, and this has been from the beginning the very foundation of my work with other people. It's looking at a variety of aspects of symptom management, not just dietary modification. And so, for example, in the self-guided program, the Living Well with Gastroparesis self-guided program, there are 13 classes. Only 2 of them are about dietary modification. There are 2 more about nutrition, so in all, 4 about what you put into your body, 4 out of 13. So if you are trying to solely control your symptoms with diet, even in conjunction with medication, but if you're not looking at the other self-care, lifestyle, stress management kind of aspects of this, it's very, very unlikely that you're going to be able to eat a balanced, healthy, nourishing diet. It's likely that you'll find yourself kind of struggling and swinging between liquids and solids and purees and really kind of feeling like nothing is stable or settled. You have all of these tools for managing gastroparesis, and there are a lot of them. It's not just eating low fiber, low fat foods and taking, Reglan. That's very much just the tip of the iceberg, and that's really not where living well comes from. Living well with gastroparesis comes from the whole gastroparesis management plan. The second thing that I want to talk about is more of a mindset, kind of more of an attitude. And that is the thought that where you are now, how things are now, is kind of just how it's going to be forever. And, I think I mentioned that sometimes the lack of relief that you get from simply making dietary modifications kind of plays into this, because you think, well, I've eliminated almost everything from my diet. I barely eat anything and I still feel horrible. And so this just must be what it's going to be like for me, forever. What is there left to do? There's nothing left to do. Well, first of all, we know that there are a lot of things left to do, like we just talked about. But more importantly, what I really, really, really want you to keep in mind, what I think is so important, is that things change. Where you are now, that doesn't mean that that's what life is going to look like for you if forever. Even if the gastroparesis quote doesn't go away, okay? And so this is a really important thing to get, because we can kind of get trapped in this is what life is now. This is how life is going to be for the rest of my life. And if you think that, you're very much less likely to continue doing this work, to continue making these proactive choices to change things. And choices really do change things. If you have not watched my free class, Make a Choice to Make a Change, that's a really good one that ties into this. But I will just give you a personal example. Most of you know that right now I am about 8 months pregnant, just about. I am expecting my first baby in September. And if you would have talked to me, 4 years ago, I'm not sure I would have told you that this would be possible. And I still have gastroparesis. It hasn't changed in terms of the severity of the delay, but my quality of life has changed dramatically. The way I experience my symptoms has improved drastically. Certainly, my overall health has improved greatly. Everything about my life is completely different in the very best possible way than it was, 4 or 5 years ago. And so for those of you who maybe look at me and you think, oh, I wish. I get those comments sometimes. I post something and people are like, I wish. Don't wish, believe, and do, and make it happen. Because, I was in that place where I was that person eating nothing but applesauce and saltines and making, my weekly trips to the emergency room and wondering if my marriage was going to survive, and, sleeping 2 hours a night and not working and not having a social life, and really feeling depressed and hopeless and helpless. That was me, 4 or 5 years ago. And now obviously life is completely different. I am happy, I am healthy, and I kind of want to say, if I can do it, you can do it. And that's really true. But it comes from making different choices. And so that was the foundation of the class that I mentioned, Make a Choice to Make a Change. You have to believe that things can change in order to do the work, in order to make those choices, in order to make those changes, in order to, going back to the first part of this video, actually put in the time and the effort and invest your resources in creating that comprehensive management plan. So whether that means, using the Living Well with Gastroparesis book as a guide and going through each section and working through it on your own to come up with a comprehensive management plan, whether that means doing something like the self-guided program that takes you through step by step, really creating your own comprehensive management plan, whether it means just kind of listening to yourself and listening to what you need, and believing in your body's ability to heal when given the opportunity, when well nourished, with food and with thought and with rest, and with activity, whatever that means, it's doing something. And so when we feel like nothing will ever change, it doesn't really motivate us to do the work to make a change. So that's why I think this is a really common mistake. You know, when you get in that place where things are difficult, where things are bad, where it seems like nothing's working, and you believe that that's just, you know, that's it for you, that's where things are, I think that really kind of, you know, puts the brakes on forward progress until you can see that this doesn't have to be the way things are long term. That's the way things are right now, but you know, I can continue to make an effort and I can continue to make strides towards changing it in the future. And you never know what things are going to look like, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 years down the road. So I hope that that makes sense. I hope that those two things help you, and to start thinking about how you not only approach the management of your symptoms and how that may be affecting, you know, your overall quality of life, but also how you think about the position that you're in right now and how that may also be impacting your choices. And I hope that this empowers you to start making or continue making proactive changes in your life so that you too can better manage your symptoms, improve your quality of life, and live well with gastroparesis and beyond. So thank you for joining me, and like I said, this will end up being a video series, so make sure you are on the mailing list. If you're not, you can sign up at bit.ly/GP signup, and that way you'll get each subsequent video in your email. And I will see you next time.